Hello and welcome to a Squadron 42 development and Star Citizen AI progress report, looking at what Cloud Imperium have been working on for Star Citizen's single-player campaign Squadron 42 Episode 1, and more generally, AI that is shared between the games. We take a look at what's been worked on over the last few weeks and what the focus is on now in October 2022. There are still no dates for Squadron 42 Episode 1's release. There were rumours that it's estimated within 2 years from a potentially drunken conversation with Cloud Imperium staff and a recent bar citizen. There has also been some Squadron 42 leaks, but they are sort of low quality, a bit spoilery, and we won't be covering them on this channel. So let's jump into AI updates first. The AI content team worked on the vendor and patron behaviours that will allow AI characters to serve, carry and consume food and drink. This complex set of behaviours is progressing well and will add impressive fidelity to several areas of the game. They also got the new medical behaviour working in the Idris. Alongside behaviours, progress was also made on two important new usables. The first is used for opening crates, inspecting the contents, and lifting items in and out. The second is for a tactile chair that allows AI characters to get in and out by rotating it with their hands. Progress was made on the Quartermaster 2, which involved new mocap, updating poses, polishing animations, and prototyping dynamic conversations. The AI feature team continued to develop the traits that allow the specialization of NPC behaviors in specific levels and scenarios. This included implementing the sentry trait, which forces characters to use defensive tactics and to never leave cover unless compromised. This will be particularly useful for NPCs equipped with sniper rifles and rocket launchers. The reckless trait is the opposite, forcing a character to only adopt aggressive tactics and never use cover options. This will be utilized by close combat berserker type enemies. There are also aggressive and cautious traits that adopt varying weights of cover use. They also implement usables that allow context-specific search animations to be played around certain level features, for example vents over railings and around crates. This adds to the NPC investigation sort of mechanics and gives them more opportunity to use the environment to search, along with increasing tension for hunted players. AI features also implemented several new features for combat with the Vandal, including gameplay for when the player is in close combat and knocked down. Players will now have a limited window to move out of the way before a synchronized execution animation is played. The AI features team said, "This really sells the Vandal as a serious threat, where split-second decision-making is important to win the fight against this powerful and aggressive foe. If the player successfully dodges the Vandal attack, it gives a short breathing period during which the player can mount a counter-offensive." Perception work continued too, with the team supporting the stealth gameplay loop by allowing the player to wear specific clothing to disguise themselves in different environments. The designers can configure which clothing works for each faction and location so that a successful disguise combines both player actions and the configuration of the NPCs in the environment. The perception meter for detecting the player as a foe is then influenced by this parameter, giving the player more time to sneak into areas, especially when at a distance from enemies. To support the scaling of perception, ranges and times, new wild lines were integrated to signal this new gameplay. For example, a suspicious enemy will challenge the player if their disguise or behavior isn't convincing. On the animation side, AI features progressed with the human-female combat animations. They also continued blocking out specific Vandal animations, including the execution animations previously mentioned. AI tech extended the functionality of navigation links, which involved finishing their work on ladder extenders. Now, NPCs are able to use and traverse ladders in a similar way to players. They also extended navigation links for doors to allow NPCs to use the entire width of doors, useful for wider doors or gaps in general, and enabled collision avoidance while traversing. They extended the way NPCs interact with closed doors too. The aim was to have the AI correctly understand which door panels should be interacted with during traversal. To achieve this, the routing functionality inside the usable system was improved to use entity links. For locomotion, they worked on reducing foot sliding and leg phase blending, making everything look better, especially when they sort of do sharp turns. Work was also done to extend two different areas of AI perception functionality. The first not only allows NPCs inside ship cockpits to target on-foot enemies not visible to the radar, but also allows NPCs on the ground to visually track large objects such as vehicles and engage in ground-to-flight combat. The second is audio perception. Previously, NPCs could hear any sound if they were at the right distance from it. Now the hearing component and audio map use the volume of the sound at its source and then calculate the strength of the audio received by the listener. This is used inside the perception component to influence the perception meter based on how strongly the sound is perceived. Explosions have different influences than footsteps do. Each audio stimulus also has a maximum value it can push the perception meter to. The idle system was also extended to allow the designers to set up different weights in the idle sets available to different usables, making them used more appropriately for the environment that they're in. Vehicle AI and vehicle features work together on AI targeting things other than vehicles, such as turrets, components, and stations. This, combined with special behaviors for strafing runs, allows the AI to perform attack runs on stations. They also worked on system AI for Chapter 1, which involves a large number of AI attacking capital ships in coordinated waves. This required various improvements and fixes, with the team improving the system that allows NPCs to pick splines to fly along during attack runs. Animation continued to work on EVA and Zero-G, improving the feel and functionality. Gadgets were further developed too, including the deployable shield and Galson weapons. Progress was made on Vandal-related gameplay, with the current focus on stealth gameplay sections and enemy executions of players, interactions with non-sliding chairs, crates, rummaging, vendors, vending machines, datapads, and other life behavior sets progressed too. Development of the female spec ops continued, with female combatants close to implementation. For facial animation, the team also continued to work on scene-specific animations with named cast characters. Mocap and on-set facial services were also provided to the narrative team as they continued to flesh out the combat and story needs of the campaign. The Squadron 42 gameplay features team continued with tasks for the armory, enabling weapons to be delivered to different locations. It now also has its own set of first select animations when the player interacts with a weapon for the first time. For the crane feature, the devs used inverse kinematics to link the player's hands and joysticks so they animate together. They also added functionality for the designers, such as snapping and locking. Further progress was made on the new Mobiglass, with the team finishing the personal messages app and implementing the first part of the mission manager app to show mission briefings. Gameplay Story held a mocap shoot that captured a variety of data for several late game scenes. Once progressed, the data will allow the scenes to function well in-game. A new scene was also created by reusing existing wildlines, which will allow the player to speak to a medic and be healed by them if required. Finally, for Gameplay Story, exploration was done on the mess hall scenes to make them function with AI animations so that all characters enter and leave smoothly. The flight team progressed towards getting a large part of the game fully playable, with functioning systems and mechanics, with a focus on a seamless experience. The flight team also expanded their work beyond the first third of the game. The social team focused on several chapters. This involved implementation, addressing feedback, and handshaking NPCs from scenes into behaviors for scenes like the Idris. They also started shift assignments for the Idris 80-person crew, and included the deck crew, bridge crew, engineers, and off-duty personnel. They also kicked off tasks for some cross-discipline chapters involving FPS, flight, and social. Level design made good progress on the social-related content, with the majority of their assigned scenes being ready for implementation. The level design team said, "It's always essential to see the scene playing out in situ so we can review and assess what additional work could be required." The narrative team are prepping for a performance capture session. The build-up to this shoot included working closely with the design team to determine a streamlined version of the FPS wildline set. This will allow the various enemy combatants to have enough lines so they can be reactive, but without adding so many as to cause undue stress to the amount of content that would need to be captured. This shoot also included the return of several established characters for additional pickups based on changes to the location and level flow. Narrative team said there were some additional fun bits that were captured, but unfortunately they will have to be kept under wraps for now. Narrative also continued working with AI content on the dynamic conversation system for background characters and began figuring out how to best incorporate them into game. As with Wildlines, part of the discussion is figuring out a way to keep the line set to a manageable level while providing interesting conversations to make the characters in the locations feel alive. They also continued on ongoing syncs with the flight and FPS design teams to review the latest level developments, creating or adjusting scripts to fill in areas that feel too empty or require additional content to explain the gameplay. The art team continued to concept various parts of Squadron 42 specific UI things. This involved finalizing the look and content of the new multifunction displays on the ships, designing gameplay screens for levels, and completing vehicle style guides. Boom. That's it for your AI and Squadron 42 updates today. But what do you think? Are you happy with the progress that Squadron 42 is making? When do you think we'll see it actually in our hands? Will it be within the next couple of years? Could it be a year away? Could it be 2? Could it be longer? Are you looking forward to AI updates and improvements coming to Star Citizen? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. NordCon 2952, the road to Nord 4.0. What do you want out of NordVPN.com/BoredGamer? Nord base building? Nord hunting 2.0? A dynamic Nordonomy? I'm personally looking forward to the latest Nord cruiser. In the meantime, I'm going to make do with NordVPN protecting my data from insidious space pirates and giving me unrivaled access to all the content that the internet has to offer. Use the links below. Note, NordCon 2952 does not actually exist. Also adding to my shill pile, Tobii Eye Tracker 5 gives you precise head tracking and control with your eyes. That's the sound of my eyes controlling the lasers, giving you unprecedented immersion in Star Citizen. You can basically aim lasers with your eyes. Pew pew! Use the links below and code BoredGamer for discount. Every month we have a ship giveaway for Star Citizen. For October, we're giving away a Cutlass Black with pirate skin, lifetime insurance, and Star Citizen game package. All you need to jump into the game. Just comment on any of my videos made during October to be in for a chance of winning that. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider becoming a channel member with the join button below my videos, or potentially becoming a Patreon. You'll get access to some exclusive content, and it really helps the channel out. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and have a great October.